What's up, everybody? Back here for episode 61 of the Pitside podcast. We've got all the information for you about week 5 of the Coast to Coast Racing League, and then we're going to talk to one of our newer members in Brandon Templeton. It's a great interview, so stick around.
Welcome to the Pitside podcast, where we discuss the latest news and developments in the Coast to Coast Racing League, as well as other racing news inside and out of iRacing. Here's your host, the A-Let Outlaw, Preston Cranmer, and Roger, the Bassman, Craig.
Yep, so we're back once again. It's been a pretty busy week between Coast to Coast Racing League and last week. That's the week I'm referring to, being the Chili Bowl. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see quite as much of that as I had hoped. Had some people that were willing to share the stream with me a couple of times that I got to see a few minutes here and there, but I did get to see all of the CB&A that was on MAV, and you know what? Rico kind of summed it up. There are a lot more people that can win that race now than it used to be. It used to be 1, 2, 3 guys that were capable, and it was a much deeper field this year. I mean, obviously with 400 and some entries, that's going to be the case.
That was wild, and it was a great event. I got Flow, and I didn't watch it during the week. I just tuned in Saturday and watched pretty much all of Saturday. And
started with the P main, right?
I think a P main, and about 9 in the morning, just before our Piston Cup, and then I really tuned in after that was over. I started watching, and it was it's always a great show. It's a time of year too, right? You're desperate for anything, right?
Yeah.
Anything dirt. And so it was great. It was great last week. Seeing Kevin Fry there, and I don't know if you saw that picture he posted. I think it was on our Facebook page as well, of Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
Although it looked like he was out to destroy cars, not race.
I'm not sure what he was doing, but you could tell he was having a good time. Well, it's cool. He's obviously not obligated to go over there, and so he went and checked it out. So I thought that was pretty cool of him.
No, very, very cool. And somebody made the comment. It might have been on the broadcast, but the nice thing about those races, it's the atmosphere. It's the person. He said, like, there's Kyle Larson, unloading his own T-shirts and stuff, all his merch. Like, it's not like these guys are above all that. They just kind of fly in and show up. They're part of the whole week in the process, and They're very, very approachable. And lots of pictures I saw on Facebook of not just Larson, but lots of others. Intermingling with the fans and everything else. So it was a cool event. But a great race, and I think the highlight for me, and I missed her name again. I asked you before the show.
Kaylee Bryson, and
Kaylee Bryson
won the B main.
For that, other than the biggest part of the race, but she came from 10th to win that B main.
She did, and it was at a point. It was at a point when there wasn't a lot of passing going on at all, and she went up to the top, and I mean, just blew past everybody. And then once she got out front, there was a quick caution right after she got out front, and she went to the bottom, and she took off there too, and gapped second place. Then it was very impressive.
No, and it wasn't. It wasn't a gimme. It wasn't. She earned every little bit of that, and she was very respectable. And I thought she might. The way she was driving there might challenge, but I think she struggled a bit in the A main. But man, making the A main like that was awesome.
Yeah, I think really for some of the teams that are maybe not as big budget or experienced or whatever the case may be, I don't know how to define it really. But you have your elite level teams, the Keith Kuntz, all those guys. The track changed so significantly between the B and the A that a lot of in like our races, if you run the B, sometimes you feel like you've got a little bit of an advantage because you've been on the track as most recently. But the track changed so much, I think it really put them at a little bit of a disadvantage, because I think you really had to change your setup a whole lot because the track was so tacky for the first, really 30 laps of that race, and then it started loosening up a little bit. But, I think she ended up finishing 17th, possibly. Is that
something like that?
Yeah.
But and it was cool to watch that track wear in, and as Chris Bell said, all the iRacers out there, this is track state zero.
Yeah, and, we were laughing about that Monday night about how, I mean, he's right, but he was plugging iRacing big time. And it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It wasn't subtle, that's for sure.
No, it wasn't. So it was, but it was a great show, and everybody. Well, Kyle Larson finished 7th, but I picked Thorson. Is that how you say his name?
Tanner Thorson.
Yeah, Tanner Thorson. Like the
Big
way
fan,
he went
huh?
through the. Well, yeah, but I became a fan during the I forget what they call it, going for the pole position where that was
dash,
very
yeah.
cool. The dash where they had 4 cars and the top 2 just stayed out and drove around. I think we're going to implement that sometime. I really like that idea where guys will sit in the pits and wait, and we'll do a dash like that or something, because it was super cool. You just have to figure it out. But the fact that he gained so many spots in those, he was flying. His car was set up to go, and it was good. It was a great race, and it was good to see.
Yeah, so and I actually participated in and I hadn't heard of it before this year, but apparently it's been growing every year. There's the Lonnie Wheatley's Chili Bowl pool, and I think they had something somewhere around 1,100 entries this year. It's $40 a pop, which is a little steeper. I wouldn't usually pay that much to but I was, again, we're talking desperate for dirt stuff, and it just sounded like fun. So Shorty and I jumped in that. And just to tell a quick story, so they use Cash App, which I don't have to take the money in. So I said, Shorty, I'm going to send you the money, you send mine in, whatever. So Monday night went fantastic for me. Actually, looking back in the points, I didn't know it at the time because they didn't come out right away, but I was second out of the 1,100 after night 1, and I was pumped. Like, I had a great night. And then Tuesday night went so-so, and I was waiting for the score sheets to come out, and I still hadn't gotten one. And Shorty was really helping me out a bunch, and he was checking it on too. And he had found his in his junk mail, and I still didn't have it there. So he started looking into it, and the payment he had sent through for me didn't go through. But he sent me the score sheet, and I was like 400th at this point. I didn't have a terrible night, but with 1,100 people, it's hard. Yeah. And so I was disappointed, obviously, because I had picked my drivers and was keeping track. And but I'm looking at, I'm down to 400th, and I'm like, I might have just saved $40. And so I didn't say anything to Shorty about it a whole lot. Just, don't worry about it, no big deal. And he felt terrible about it. He didn't really say anything to me either. He just was feeling so bad about it that he actually found a way to get a hold of Lonnie and explain to him what happened. Got me back in the pool, and I proceeded to finish below 1,000. And I was like, damn it, Shorty. So, and Shorty, who didn't start off well, finished 11th out of everybody.
No kidding.
And so I won't share how much he won, but he got a pretty decent payday out of the event. So
good for him. I heard Dean Reynolds was right up there near the end too.
I don't know where he was near the end. I know with maybe on Thursday. So Saturday your points can change a whole bunch, but I know on Saturday, I think it was Thursday, he was like second or third. So he was way up there too. Yeah. So yeah, it was cool. And actually Shorty at one point, I think it was early in the week, went through and he recognized some names. So like Cassidy Kreitz was in there, and she was doing pretty well. And so there were a bunch of names that he recognized, some of them from our league and some otherwise that were in the pool. But there are drivers in there as well. I'd say that. I don't know if that's true because you can put any name in, but it appeared that some of the drivers or teams throwing money in the pool too. So yeah. I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow, that's wild, man.
Yeah. So
hey, well, we're talking racing. In the background there, very clearly, is your kart, and we were hoping to have a highlight here tonight, but you forgot to pick something up on the way home. Yeah. So I was running a little late this evening, didn't get to pick up any extra gas. But if anybody's followed this at all, I have been having a terrible time. I bought a brand new motor and couldn't get it to run. Couldn't figure out what was going on. I finally broke down. It's supposed to be ready to run out of the box, so I was trying to pull as little apart as I possibly could. I finally pulled the crankcase open, and the crank came right out. When I pulled the crankcase cover off, and so I couldn't figure out how to set the timing back correctly, and so I was looking at it, and Dad came over, and we were looking at it, and there's indicators on there. They're very small and very hard to see, so I popped that back in. Turns out that was the problem the whole time, is that when they shipped it, the timing was off ever so slightly, and so when we reset that, fired it right up, and I've just broke it in a couple of times. It's now bolted on the cart and hasn't been started yet, so we'll be officially starting it here at some point soon. Now got a second motor that we'll start working on getting that
prepped and broken in for race season. Just got our schedule. First race will be March 12th, so a little less than 2 months. So we're getting real close. And got new body in today, so that'll be getting wrapped here soon. So I may wait to do the official start until it's wrapped, and I can kind of promote some of my sponsors that way. But everything's just kind of suddenly starting to fall together, and it's frankly a weight off my shoulders because it's been a trial and tribulation here and there. So
yeah, that's cool, man. That's
yep.
Cool. Hey, we got a great guest. So we got a few more things to talk about, but we got a great guest coming on. Brandon Templeton. Great interview coming up. Real interesting dude, and so stay tuned for that. We won't we won't drag this out too much longer, but you want to stick around for that interview for sure. This week we're talking about week 5, and just this week. Hey, week 5, I had 3 podiums. And I think about 5 top 10s or 6 top 10s. It was a great week for me. But all my podiums are asphalt. So
I was wondering. I knew 2 of them were. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
So you had one in a street stock race with the retreads, right? And then one with the truck race. And you make podium in the cup race too?
P2, buddy.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. That was. Those are interesting because even like it's a lot of it's strategy, a few breaks here and there. And anybody can. I'm proving it. Anybody can end up in the podium. So it was. It's a good time. If you haven't done any of our NASCAR stuff, come on out. It's a good group of guys, and it's always a fun run.
So now that you finished second a bunch, why don't you tell us who won our features in week 5?
Okay, well, let's tell you who won the features. So, and this is week 5, not week 6, because we're a bit of a delay. But I'll just talk about the evening stuff. John Short won his 3rd out of 4 features. Didn't have too much luck this past week. But Ross Carinta won the Rebels. Josh Gerlach won his 3rd feature in the Raiders. John Hine won Topless Tuesday. Then Pro Late Models, Tater Williams. Small blocks, Logan Gill. Big blocks, Logan Gill. Kings of Dirt, Kyle Parker. And then the Pickup Cup, Kyle Parker again. Piston Cup. This is a 2-time winner, Saturday and Sunday. Can you figure out who that is now? I just gave it away.
Oh, it's Kyle Parker.
No, Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, Bob Light?
Bob Light, yeah. Bob hung in, got to win. So it was, it was a good run. It was a good week. And then Driver of the Week, that was week 5. Nicholas Schell went from P22 to P6 in the Hometown Heroes 305. So
he's moving.
Congratulations to Nick Schell. So it was a really good week. Things are really rock and roll. We're into week 6, and a couple big events coming up right now. You want to tell us about the one you're working on?
So the award show is I had hoped to release that this weekend. So it's possible you could be watching this, and the award show will actually broadcast tonight, possibly. So I'm not sure about that at the moment. We're still getting some stuff together. Some of this is being pre-recorded, and so it'll be all put together so we can watch it as a league. I think what we're planning to do is when we release that, we'll do it as a premiere on YouTube. So if you're familiar with that, it is a live video just like a broadcast, but it will go live and everybody can chat on it. It's almost like a live broadcast even though it's not a live video. So that's the way we're planning to do that. It'll go live at a certain time. Obviously, if you come in, and you're 10 minutes late or something, you can rewind and start from the beginning. But this will give us all the option. When you load in, it'll be at a certain period, and so if you can pick up with watching with everybody else. So we're going to give that a shot. You can always go back and rewatch it at another time if you'd prefer to do that. So there's some exceptional guys being honored. I've seen some of the early stuff, and I'm blown away. Everybody's getting into this and doing it right. So it's going to be a good time. There's still a few guys that I'll be contacting here. So I think for the most part, guys that are going to win an award probably have some idea already. But if you haven't heard from me, you still might. Just so we can schedule some of the stuff that we have to do prior to the show. But that's going to be coming up shortly. The date is still to be determined, just because we're trying to get videos from different people, and we're chasing those down. So,
yeah, it's exciting for me because this is your baby. You've been running with it, so there's going to be lots of surprises for me as well. So
that's the goal. I am keeping as much as close to my chest as I can, so everybody gets an experience, gets to watch something. We go back and watch races, and I love to watch myself race, but what's going to happen. So this is intended to be, like a live broadcast in that.
So these are like sealed envelopes from Deloitte and Touche or whatever.
I don't know what Deloitte and Touche is, but yeah.
They're like they're auditors and stuff. So they handle. I thought Deloitte and Touche handled the Oscars and all that sort of stuff.
They may. Anyways, I don't watch. I don't watch much of that stuff, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I can't wait for that. And we've got some. I wanted to talk a little bit about the charity event this season. So we have moved the Super Dirt Week to it'll be April, because Dean Reynolds, who is he's the brains behind that one, he's away in Florida for all the Super Dirt stuff down there for 3 weeks, and then he was saying we could run it the week after. Well, that was week 12, so that wasn't going to work. So I said, how about we put it off? And plus, it's a better marriage. It's for the Steve King Foundation this season, and 360s. I mean, that's that was Steve's machine. So it's King of the Wing. We're bringing back King of the Wing. It's going to be. This is all tentative. Stuff can change, but it's coming together now. It'll be 3 nights: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The Monday night there'll be 2 tracks. There'll be 2 races. You pick which one you want to go in. The first one we're going to have for sure, it's going to be Lima Land, because that was the week 9. And I know some guys look forward to Lima Land, so not me, but some guys look forward to Lima Land. So it'll be the 1 track. So it'll be a bull ring, and then it'll be the other track will be a regular track, and you'll get to choose which one you want to run. So there's some strategy there, because I'm thinking not a lot of guys like bull rings, but there might be less cars, so you might want to go in that. Anyways, it'll be driver's choice. And then the top 5 from each of those will automatically go into the final. And then on Tuesday there's a last chance. So another it's a feature 3. Another 5 will go from that. We'll also have a veterans race where the top guy that doesn't transfer and qualify will get a P26 position. And then there's a last chance. Oh, and also we're going to have a dash with the top 5 from Monday night's 2 races. They will go in a dash, like a 10-lap dash, to determine starting positions for the Wednesday night. So that could be interesting. And then on Wednesday there'll be a last chance, and we'll take 10 drivers on the last chance race. So everybody's still got a pretty good chance of getting in. And then there'll be the main feature will be a 50-lap feature at the track decided by drivers. The other thing, it's in the process right now, the poll, is whether it'll be fixed or open. I kind of automatically thought it would be open, but with it being a different track every race, it looks like right now, as it stands, fixed is leading. So it looks like it most probably will be a fixed series, but that remains to be seen. So it's whatever the drivers want. That's what we're going for.
Yeah, and how long will that poll stay open?
That poll will stay open probably another 24 hours. So it's Tuesday night, so we'll leave it till Wednesday night. Unless it's really close, and I'll let it just dawdle there for a while. But
gotcha. So it'll be closed by the time we air.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
It's really trending right now, so we'll see if it stays. But sometimes these things change overnight, so it could be interesting. But I'm really pumped up, excited about it. Steve King. This is our 4th charity race for the Steve King Foundation. We're partners with them now. I think they're as excited about it as we are, and we're excited about it. It was a great interview with Danette last week.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to. They've got a promo video coming out from the Chili Bowl that it's not quite finalized yet, but we're hoping we get that to run too. So, just we're only running one class of car this time, so just hoping on drivers. Whether you want it open or you want it fixed, we're hoping everybody gets caught up in the spirit of this thing and the cause, that we're doing it for, and everybody gives generously.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught it, but there was just a little bit of a cool crossover in our world, I thought, today. And Brody shared, Grady was at the Tulsa shootout as a team owner, and Brody shared it out today and said, this is a driver in a very similar situation as my own. And I just thought it was like, I don't even know if Brody and Grady realize we've done events for the other. And it's just another, something similar happened maybe 6 months ago. I don't remember what it was, but it's the second time now we've had a kind of a worlds collide like that where.
And I'm hoping we can get both of those guys on, before this charity event. These guys have benefited from the Steve King Foundation in a big way. I know at the Tulsa shootout, Grady made an announcement that he was team owner, but he said he had a bigger announcement that he was going to make at the Chili Bowl, and I didn't hear that. So I'm not sure if anybody knows about that. I'm going to do a bit of research, but it sounded like there's bigger news in the wind. So,
yeah,
it's exciting stuff, and great to see both of those guys doing so well.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, let's jump over and talk to Brandon. It's a great interview. I personally never had a chance to catch up with Brandon a whole lot before this interview, other than on the track. You'll hear him talk about that here in a little bit. But he's an interesting guy. He's got a pretty cool racing background. I don't think it's the one that we typically think of as a racing background, but he's been involved in a lot of different racing in a lot of different ways. So you're not going to go ahead.
I was just going to say, and in the coming weeks, one of my goals is to get a lot of new drivers on. Newer drivers, like Brand's been around for almost a year, but like newer drivers that you and I maybe aren't as familiar with. It's not the old guard. It's the new guys, and they're coming in and doing well. So if you're one of those people and you want to get on the podcast, let us know, because we want to get get everybody familiar with everybody in the league. It's a community, and we want to get to know each other. Yeah,
and I'm glad you said that, because it's not about interviewing the fastest guys or whatever. We obviously try to interview our champions and winners from time to time, but we are, and we've said it numerous times, but the biggest thing we try to do is foster a good community, and the podcast really helps that. And I think it's really just getting to know each other, and I think too, you watch a guy on here and you realize he's racing just like I am. You give a guy a little bit extra respect too. So if you need a little extra respect, you come on the podcast. I don't know, but that's really all it's about. Is we just want to get to know the guys who race in our league, and so if you're interested, I've said this a few times before too, but if you're interested, let us know, and we'll try to work you in at some point. We obviously have to make scheduling choices based on what we've got going on, but we'll try to work everybody in that lets us know they'd like to come on.
Absolutely, man.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right.
So
well, it's time to talk to Brandon, and we'll
wait.
see you back here next week for episode 62. Thanks for watching, guys.
Drive safe. And we're here with Brandon Templeton. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing great. How about yourself, Roger?
You're doing pretty good. We got about a foot of snow, but other than that, it's I stand inside and watch the guys clean my driveway. I guess that's as bad as it gets, so it's okay.
Yeah, we've got some snow on the ground right now too, and we've had a couple days of bitter cold. So,
if you don't mind me asking, where are you located? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm in Southwest Iowa, so halfway between Omaha and Des Moines, kind of.
So where do you live?
Corning, Iowa.
Corning, yeah, okay.
Yep.
And how far is that from Clarence?
I was going to say that's my only reference point in Iowa, other than Knoxville.
I don't know exactly where Clarence is, but I think it's about as far away as you can get in Iowa.
Oh, that's going to hurt a few people in the league when you say that, man. And so and I've got to mention, Preston. I was going to mention it in our conversation, but I'll mention it now that I had a complaint about last week's broadcast.
Our podcast, you mean?
Yeah. The
I don't
podcast.
believe it.
No, I was in a race and somebody said they were really disappointed.
I don't know.
So the mayor of Clarence said this never showed up last week. So he said he was totally disappointed that the trophy never made an appearance. I mean that this represents
There it is again.
that represents success for every old guy. Knows he has a chance when he sees that an idiot like me can win one. So it's encouraging for half our audience probably.
Well, I will tell you, and I can't be the only one, especially if he said something to you, but there was a point, and I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but I thought for sure you were pulling it out. Like, I was waiting for you to reach up and grab it, and then you didn't. I was like, he's finally over it. But
it was out of reach. That's
I figured you were usually just holding it all the time. It was just off camera.
I don't mean to take this conversation. We're here with Brandon, but that the whole Clarence thing came up, and it was just kind of, I'm thinking that Bixler's and Maurer and Chapman are all hurt units right now. That he doesn't know where Clarence is, so I had to do something to cheer up the Clarence crowd. So, anyways, we've got that out of the way. So, how far are you from Knoxville? That's the important question.
Yeah, I'm a couple hours, just a little over 2 hours straight west on Highway 34. So I'm between I-80 Speedway to the west of me and Eagle Raceway is nearby there. And then Knoxville's a couple hours to the east. And then we've got Adams County Speedway here in my hometown, and that's probably the biggest reason I started out being a race fan, and getting into travel around and watching races. So.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. That you've got you and your wife used to do track photography. Is that what I think I was?
We did. Yep, she owns a photography studio here on Main Street now, but back then, she was just in college doing the photography thing, and I was wanting to go everywhere and see races, and so come see me. She would come and photograph in the pits, and come back the next week and sell a few photos to drivers and stuff. Didn't make much money, but then we got a few really cool opportunities from it. We were asked to come. I shouldn't say we. It was her. I was carrying the bags.
I was going to say, yeah.
I was there for the free pit passes. So then she had a couple opportunities. We got to know some riders. A guy that wrote some stories for Dirt Late Model magazine, and then we got lucky enough to be able to contribute some photos to some articles. And Dick Berggren, when he came to the Speedway, and we did some Speedway illustrated photos. And then we've just traveled around and done, some journalistic type photography for some different series, USMTS a few times. Bob Harris of Harris Chassis in the modified IMCA world, it's real huge. He always puts on a big race called the Harris Clash. At the time it was at Knoxville, so we had to go be there in the morning and document the whole procedure, and it was cool to see how a track like Knoxville prepares the track, all the behind the scenes things. At one point I was sitting in the main command booth up at Knoxville, and the promoter walks in and I'm sitting up there, and took the elevator up. And so just a lot of cool opportunities. Got some passes to go to some different races, and traveled to 7 or 8 states, and a little over 25 dirt tracks. So that's really fun.
No, that's cool, man. That's cool.
Any one race that sticks in your mind?
As far as traveling to do those series, there was a great one. I don't know what year it was, probably between 2005, 2008. The WDRL, which it was the World Dirt Race League. And it started out as the Busch All-Star Series, which was a NASCAR sanctioned super late model dirt series that traveled around the Midwest, like Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Minnesota type areas. And NASCAR discontinued the Busch All-Star being a sanction of a dirt late model series. So I don't want to get this wrong, but I think the name I'm looking for is Tom Wilson, that ran that series. A few years later, took it up and restarted it and called it the WDRL, no longer NASCAR sanctioned, but he ran it, and it ran the same tracks all around. Pretty much was a similar series. So they went up to Deer Creek, Minnesota, and It was co-sanctioned with USMTS, so it was the best of the Midwest Super Late Models and the best of the high-power modifieds, style or IMCA. So they both raced on the same night, and it was like a 4-hour drive, I think, to get there or something. We get up there, and we knew a local racer that raced late models regionally that she'd done some features on, and so we were kind of hanging out in his pit. And it ended up raining like a little over 2 inches in an hour, and a storm came through just after heat races, and about 2 hours later, they packed the track in. To put it in perspective, there was like 2 feet of standing water in the infield of Deer Creek Speedway. Super banked, small track. It just held water. There was one great big water outlet that drained the pits right under the race trailer that we were hanging out at. So by the time the storm was out and we got the doors open, we were sitting in a river. So that'd probably be the most memorable. When they continued racing that night, and they got over, but I think it was probably 1 a.m. or so. There was a lot of racing, and it didn't get started until pretty late. So that was a lot of pretty memorable.
I've noticed too that you did some official scoring back in the day.
Yeah, I did. Kind of a real small track. I think we maybe had 75 cars at our peak. Ran a few seasons up at Audubon. It's called Bull Valley Speedway, and a local flagman here that flagged at my track and everybody's. And a lot of people and a lot of drivers went up and tried to kind of revitalize and continue a track that was struggling and just had been kind of historically a cool track. So we went up and I scored for him a few years. So that was my behind the scenes official race work. Other than that, I'm just a huge fan that likes to watch a lot of racing.
So that would have been hand scoring back in those days, I guess.
Yeah, I was writing the numbers down. They use like the adding machines or something here, I think, at the local track, and it reels out the tape, and so then you could always look back on your receipt paper or whatever. But I would write them down. We'd hand score them on the paper, and then when they got lapped, you'd keep writing them in order, but you'd put a circle around it. So yeah, that was old school. That was maybe the very nicest tracks. We're just starting to think about transponders at that point.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I don't think we've ever had anybody like interview for an admin position on the podcast before, but the guy can take podium shots and he can score. What else is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm usually kind of a quiet guy, so I don't like to jump out there and get my voice heard too much. But yeah, I help out where I can. I enjoy doing the review committee and giving back, because I love the league, and ever since I've joined, I've just almost race every night. It's so much fun. So
well, I was going to bring this up as kind of where we're going next. Was you've been in the league almost a year now? I think it was like March last year. You had I got the stats around here somewhere, but you race in every division pretty much going. I knew you raced a lot, but I didn't realize just how much you had. It's pretty amazing.
I've at least attempted every series, I think. So
yeah.
Some of them a lot more than others, but I try to get out there. When you get a good group of guys that aren't going to just wreck you, it makes it so much more fun.
Yep. So coming into this season, you had 116 races. 3 wins, 31 top 5s, and 71 top 10s. That's not too shabby, man.
Yeah.
And that's across multiple divisions too. So, and then I was looking at the stats here just before we came on, and you're 4th in the Renegades. I mean, the premier division. You've really been hauling ass, man. And
by the skin of my teeth in that series, I have no idea what I'm doing in a sprint car, man. I'm just out there hanging on.
I was gonna say you came in as a late model guy, right?
Yeah, I did. That's what we came into the league, as racing late models, and of course, I love the East Coast modifieds, and everything else is just kind of spread out, and we started racing everything. So
yeah.
I'm competitive, so when you start seeing that Monday night, that ladder, of the different series, you put me in there, and I'm like. They said, we'll just start out, you're a C, and I'm like, that kind of is not offensive, but that makes me want to rise up, what's it take to be a B or an A,
Yeah.
And so that just kind of lit a fire, and so I've started trying to figure out sprint cars a little bit.
Well, you're not doing too bad.
Yeah, not doing too bad at all. So, so how long have you been with Icon the whole time you've been with us?
I have, yep. Joe contacted me, Joe Halter, and kind of recruited me there. Said, "Hey, we'd like to start a dirt team," and he'd seen me racing. We'd raced quite a bit against each other on officials and limited late models, and so that's where a lot of our team kind of originated from. Brian Dickens, also, he's to this day very competitive, going for that division official top dogs. So I've kind of bowed out of the official. When you're racing every night on the league, it's kind of
Yeah.
tough to find time
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
us and go in and do it all the time. So, but yeah, that's kind of where the team originated. And I came into the league. We just wanted to race some late models, and we'd tinkered around with another league, and it was kind of toxic for us. So we were happy to find you guys. He said, "Hey, come in and try this coast to coast," and never looked back. I think I've raced it. Haven't missed many late model races since then.
No, it's been a good marriage with Icon for sure. And now the Friday night lights, I imagine you're running them pretty regular as well.
Yep, that's a lot of fun. My issue there is, and not saying it's an issue or something, but if you see me bow out of some of those races, I'm on the VR now, and I like to kind of have a break in between the first race and the third race. So that's like,
Yeah.
I'd love to run the big blocks, but it's like, man, 3 in a row. I like to take it off and get some water and eat some supper maybe.
So
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
just started running VR then?
Yeah, it was, I don't know, probably around November maybe, middle end of last season. So I really felt like I improved quite a bit when I got it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say it makes me any faster, but it sure makes me know where my car's at and where
Right.
the wall's at and where the other guys are. Just the perspective and the ability to read distances is really
I
big.
think it brings consistency more than speed, but for sure.
Yep, it definitely does.
Did you come from a single monitor or triples or?
Yeah, I was using a 34-inch ultra wide curved monitor, which is, it was good for a single monitor, and I was sitting pretty close to it, so I had a decent perspective there, but field of view. But
Yeah.
the VR is just a world changer for me, and the immersion is fun. And so then I heard you talk about last couple of weeks about the butt kicker, and I've just got one here like 2 weeks ago, and I agree with everything I've heard you say on that. It doesn't necessarily make me feel like I'm any better, but it
Yep.
is sure fun to feel like you've got an engine running under you,
Yeah. The one thing I've found though is, and maybe I've just got turned up. I've been trying to turn it down, but I've got it set up too for so when you're losing traction, but the seat is vibrating, and I don't lose the sensation. Like I got V3 pedals, but before when that was the only show going, you really felt it in your foot. Where now, my ass is shaking too.
Right.
So it's but the whole immersion thing, it is pretty cool, and you clunk it into gear or whatever, and you can
Yeah,
just
the
do
gear
all that
clunk
stuff.
is cool. And when you get like on a rumble strip or something, especially like the road runners, if your tires on a rumble strip on a curb or something,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
feel it, and there's no directional control over that vibration, but your mind tricks you so much into knowing, well, that was the left tire,
Well,
you
especially
swear
in
you feel
VR,
it on
yeah.
the side. You swear
Especially
you feel it on the side it happens. So it's just cool.
Y'all are
Your mind
costing me money.
yeah, it was that was money well spent, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
And that was the other thing too was you've taken a shot at road runners as well, man. That's
I've
cool.
had some ups and downs there. First week I went out and I absolutely blew myself away. I had like 2x or something. I like touched the wheel off on the last
Wow.
lap. It was, and I don't know. I think I probably got like third or fourth, or I don't know. I didn't get third, but I was around top 5. And then next couple times I went out, and I was like expecting to do that same thing. I think I got like a 10x and maybe even a late DQ, and I was like, man, you really got to watch. After
Yep.
45 minutes, those corners start, sneaking up on you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
It-
and for an old guy, like it's you get those moments where you just lose focus for a bit,
Yeah.
and you can't afford to do that, like
do.
all of a sudden your laps are like 2 seconds longer or something because you're just
And
not.
my instincts coming from racing dirt all the time is, drive a little harder, a little harder, a little harder.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it'll always end. You'll always find the edge in
Yeah.
your road races.
Yeah. That's been for sure one of my issues there. But they're blasted. The Formula V's and the Skippies are a fun car to drive.
Yep, I like them both, and they're totally different cars. the V, it tries to like come around on you because it's kind of back heavy with the rear engine on the braking. And the Skippy I love because it's like your dirt track, and it can slide a little bit
Oh yeah,
without snapping completely out of control. And so,
and you can do it without losing time too.
yeah, absolutely. If you're not too worried about the tires, you can really pick up and go. So that's a lot of fun too.
So, did you do any road racing in officials or anything, or is this really the only place you've dabbled?
Like, I wouldn't say I've never done it, but I've definitely done like less than 5 of them. I think I've done maybe 2 or 3. So that's something I'm just kind of picking up, and it's fun to do in the league. So yeah, if it wasn't on a Sunday evening, I probably wouldn't do it. But that's just a time when I have during the week that's like, I'm racing every other day. Why not?
Yeah, I hear you. What about, tell us a little bit about Icon, because I've never really talked to Joe on that about, they've got an asphalt side of things too. And is that road racing, or is it?
Yeah, they've got a few guys that have done like in the past endurance races a lot with Rob. I don't know if, since I've joined, they haven't done a lot of that. I think that was a little bit before my time. That's fizzled out a little bit. But they still do a little bit of road racing. We've got a couple members that aren't in Coast to Coast. Either they're new or they race some other series on the nights they run. But we've got a couple other drivers there. But for the most part, it's just the guys that are racing the Coast to Coast that you're probably familiar with. So.
Well, you've certainly been a great addition to the league, and every race I seem to go in, Brandon Templeton's there, so it's refreshing to see guys leveraging everything we have to offer, most everything. And you have kids too, don't you?
Yeah, I've got 3 little girls that are school age, so that's another struggle. Like getting off of the race is bedtime, so it's like you get off the race, you go right in, tuck them in, I spend every minute between races, and that's why I try to, if there's 3 races that night, I skip the middle one because that gives me a chance to go get supper, check in, help out, so gotta thank my wife a lot though, because that's racing. I've been racing every weeknight this season. I've got a series that for whatever reason I got locked into the top few of the points.
Yes.
And my competitive nature is I don't want to give it up. So
you're in about at least 4 divisions, I think, where you're in the top 2 or 3 or 4.
Never won a championship, and I always get right up to the top of those standings, and a little incident happens or something. But just striving for improvement in all of it, and I think racing all those different cars makes me better in every one of them.
So. Do you have any questions, Preston? I got a few more here, but I don't want to.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, how long you've been in iRacing? We never did ask that question.
Technically, I joined in 2011. I've been a member for a little over 10 years. That wasn't much like what I'm doing now. That was like I was racing Legends on a laptop, with an old Microsoft Sidewinder wheel, and then I came back when Dirt came out and raced here and there. But when COVID hit, I'm a network coordinator, so I do computer work quite often. When COVID
mark that down, Preston.
I'd never really built myself, like a gaming rig because wasn't a huge gamer, and when COVID hit, iRacing just took off, and all the pros were doing it, and all the guys were jumping in and racing with real drivers, and I was like, I got to get back in that, and get some of that. So I built myself a computer, and that's when I kind of started putting together a little bit of equipment and thinking, I'm going to do this regularly, so I'm going to, go ahead and spend money to do it right.
So, what kind of equipment you got then? Tell us about it.
I'm just, I don't have looking for one of them Icon rigs here in the future, but at the moment, due to space, I kind of lost my racing room out to a toy room, which might later become a bedroom. So I had a Washington Redskins / racing room where I kept all my memorabilia, and that kind of went by the wayside. So right now I've got a desk in my bedroom, and got the screen. I've got just a Thrustmaster T150 with the better upgraded pedals, and the VR, of course, is the game changer. So
and the butt kicker.
And the butt kicker,
That's cool, man. What butt kicker did you get?
The Gamer 2.
Yeah, that's what I got. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool, man. It's just plug and play pretty much. It's
It is, and it's fun with music and movies too. I don't know if
yeah,
you've done much of that, but you can crank it over, turn a movie on and feel the explosions, and that's kind of a neat aspect.
yeah, that's cool. So a couple questions we always ask everybody. Your greatest iRacing memory.
Greatest iRacing memory.
Well,
I don't
he
know.
doesn't
Maybe
watch the podcast every week.
maybe winning
Not prepared.
my probably winning the first Coast to Coast feature. I mean, really,
Good answer.
and I think they both came in the same week. I won a matinee with Dean. Dean and I had like an amazing photo finish. It was like 3-inch difference. And then like I don't know if it was that next week in the evening 358s. I think me and Steven Goldner came right down to the wire, and they were both just like nose of a car. And those were my first 2 wins. And so I'd have to say,
Awesome.
combined that week was probably the best.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I always ask everybody in our league, who would you say is your biggest rival? And then I always preface the question by saying it doesn't have to be somebody you don't get along with. It might be somebody you just find yourself around on the track all the time, or you can define it for yourself.
So I don't know if I have one that stands like way head and shoulders above the rest. But when I first came into the league, Brian Dickens, my teammate, and I had rubbed heads a couple times in official races. And I think Joe said something like this on the podcast before, but he messaged me and said, "Hey, what do you think about this Brian Dickens?" I said, "Well, I think he wrecks me all the time." And he said, "Yeah, me too. Let's have him on the team."
Yeah.
So, we worked with Brian. Brian is just faster than blazes, but he does not like to settle for, whatever. If he's got a 6th place car, he wants to try to make it go to 3rd. And so sometimes we got to dial him back. As far as teammates, he's probably the one that pushes me the most. Sometimes we get side-by-side races, and I know he does the same. You give the guy room, but if there's a lane, you're pushing as hard as anybody. And then as far as just general guys in the league, when I first joined, I wouldn't say when I first joined, but a while back, probably beginning of last season or so, it seems like every corner I went in, John Hine and I were touching.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who was coming from behind the other one, who was making the pass, who was doing what. We were going to be right next to each other rubbing wheels. And it didn't end up in a lot of big wrecks, but it ended up in a lot of guys, losing a couple spots and getting loose and some hurt feelings there a little bit. So, and then, Preston, you and I, we didn't have a lot of side-by-side race. I mean, it's been off and on and stuff, but I know a few weeks ago on the podcast, you called me out, and it was like when we were doing some street stock enduros and a regular street stock race.
Uh-huh.
And I knew we rubbed fenders for like a week straight.
Oh, yeah.
Every race,
Yep.
we were on each other, man.
Yep. And you know what? It seems to go in phases like that too, right? Because I had that week or a little bit more or less with you, and then it happened with Randy Shreves, and then Terry and I do it, I guess, every 3rd week, right? So
Right.
Terry and I stay beside each other all the time. We were laughing tonight because we didn't start side by side. So there definitely it's not always one guy. It's momentary, kind of encapsulated sections of a season, I think.
Yeah, it comes and goes. I'll have a week where that I'll just be cussing, saying every word I can about some guy, and the next week, he's getting out of my way, and it's just nobody in the league is out there to ruin anyone's day, and that it just makes it a lot of fun. Everybody's out there to put on a good race and have some fun. So.
We got a good group of guys.
Yeah, and it's like Preston said too. That's the advantage of league racing. We said it before, not tonight, but the advantage of league racing is you get to know all the guys around you. You know who they are. You know their tendencies, and you know how to race them. And it's
and you get to see them on the podcast.
You get to see them on the podcast. Yeah, exactly. So, want to thank you for coming out, man, and being part of our league, and helping out the way you're helping out. You talked about John Hine, but now you guys are working together on the review committee, so it's all good. It's we got some great guys in the league, and you're definitely one of them. And really appreciate you coming on, and look forward to seeing you on the track. And although you're usually at the other end of the track than I am, but still.
I was going to say, hopefully I find myself beside you again here soon, because the reason we haven't been side by side is because you've been too far in front of me.
Yeah.
Well, you guys know that comes and goes too. There's weeks where you'll have incidents like every other race, and there's weeks where you can get out there and run clean, and for whatever reason the bad luck, I guess, didn't jump up and bite you. So no, I appreciate being on, and appreciate the opportunity you guys give as a league, to feature all of us and put us out there, and all for a great cause, and so it's just a lot of fun working together, and it's good connections.
Totally.
Look forward to more.
So one last question: that your hometown again?
Corning, Iowa. Yep.
Corning, right? Corning. Because this podcast don't come out till Sunday. I'm going to be seeing Bixler. I'm going to say, do you know where Corning, Iowa is? Now, if he does, you're in trouble. But if he doesn't, then he's got nothing to
well, the man's
about.
a politician. He's got to know, you know.
Yeah, he'll have some sort of right answer for sure.
I'm probably not in his region, so I don't think his vote counts up there.
No, I mailed one in. You're fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got Adams County Speedway here, my home track. It's a great big half mile, and it's been NASCAR sanctioned for years, and so that's a NASCAR sanctioned dirt track, so that's kind of a cool thing.
Now,
so.
I'm going back on you, and I'm doing the one more question thing now too. There was another track you mentioned earlier, and I'm going to make you probably run through the list again, but I felt like it was one of the tracks that Scotty DeYoung, who was our previous announcer, was working at.
Was it I-80 Speedway?
Yeah, but I'm thinking maybe his was I-90.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, a mystery for another day.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the track, and thanks for coming on.
You bet. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Rode on the show.
5, 4.
So this is the intro?
Yes. 3.
What
2,
episode?
1. What's up, everybody? Episode 61 of the Pitside podcast. And this episode, Roger's going to try to get it together before we start.